Now, yesterday, President Trump inflamed our allies and the Muslim world by declaring Jerusalem the capital of Israel. Now look, this is a disastrous decision in my opinion because, for one, it undermines any peace process, and secondly, it ensures more conflict in the Middle East. So that's a disaster. Now, of course, that is what some people, I believe, want. But as far as Trump's concerned, he's not smart enough to realize what he just did. I know some of you might disagree with that, but I definitely agree. I think that Trump's an idiot. And you guys know this. I've been making this argument for a very, very long time. He's dumb. He's not just dumb, though. He's unbelievably dumb. Now, the statement about him not being smart enough to realize that what he just did in the Middle East by messing things up, that's not just me saying it. It's actually a lot of his advisors. Speaking of that, we're going to go to the Washington Post. Several advisors told the paper that President Trump did not completely grasp the ramifications of recognizing Jerusalem as Israel's capital. So what were the reasons? Trump wanted to seem pro-Israel and focused on making a deal, two advisors told the Post. So this is all about, hey, I want to look pro-Israel for my evangelical base. And of course, I want to have a win. I want to make a deal. Okay, but here's the problem. There is no winning in this situation. In fact, one Trump confidant who recently spoke to the president about it said, quote, "It's insane. He doesn't realize what all he could trigger by doing this." Oh boy. No, he doesn't. But you can bet his advisors do. That's why some of them were, of course, against it, including Defense Secretary James Mattis and Secretary of State Rex Tillerson, who were definitely against this. Now, isn't it funny how a guy with the nickname of Mad Dog seems to have a little bit more sensibility than the President of the United States? Now, of course, let me tell you who's in favor of this, and then I'm going to tell you why. Now, key voices of support came from Vice President Mike Pence, Jared Kushner, and Ambassador to the UN, Nikki Haley. Now, Kushner, the president's son-in-law, had supported the move from early in Trump's candidacy, and Pence, who was to visit Israel this month, told Trump that his base would love the decision, something the president liked to hear. So you know why the base loves this decision, right? Well, it's not because they love Israel. And so here's the thing. He's like, oh, I want to be pro-Israel, right? It's not about being pro-Israel. In fact, the reason that his evangelical base loves this decision, wants to move the capital to Jerusalem, it doesn't mean anything good for the Jews. Trump, of course, has about 60% support from evangelical voters, so he's going to listen to him. Now, these people are heavily conservative Christian. They're not Jews. They believe that moving the capital to Jerusalem will bring about the end times. They think that the end of the world is, they want to kickstart the end of the world so that Jesus can come back. The end times is where everybody's supposed to die. Well, not everybody, but most people are supposed to die, right? They think, great, we're gonna kickstart the apocalypse, hashtag MAGA. Well, thankfully, that's of course not going to happen. Hopefully. If I'm wrong, of course, sad, but what it will do is will cause a lot of political instability and a lot of possible violence. So that's the problem. Now, thing is, that's still a win for Trump if there's violence, if there's terrorism. Why? Because then he gets to go on and blame the violent Muslims. The defense contractors also win because, hey, they're going to get more money from the government. And the right wing of government of Israel also wins because they achieve a long-time goal of having the United States recognize Jerusalem as their official capital and move their embassy to that. So, wonderful, right? And you also have other right-wing people, Jewish people. And to be honest, like most Jewish people in America are left-wing. So he's not, again, Donald Trump is saying, well, I want to be pro-Israel, pro-right-wing government of Israel, not for the benefit of the Jewish people in America, which again are mostly aligned with Democrats. No, he's being he's basically rewarding his right-wing evangelical base by doing this. That's who he wants to win with. Okay, that's who he wants to win with. Now, people like Jared Kushner, of course, and Sheldon Adelson, who are aligned with the right-wing government of Israel, including Benjamin Netanyahu, they, of course, also get their win. Now, speaking of Adelson, he is described as, quote, an important outside voice that was advising Trump to make the leap into actually doing this. This is according to several people familiar with the two men's conversations. At a White House dinner earlier this year, Adelson made this issue a main topic. In the months that follows, Adelson periodically asked others close to Trump what was causing the delay and expressed frustration that, of course, it hadn't happened yet. Come on, when are we going to do this? Let's get it done. Now, what's more disturbing than the fact that he had no idea what his decision would actually result in, and nobody has an idea of what's going to happen. That's why so many presidents who have even promised to do so haven't actually done it. I mean, you had George W. Bush, who was the evangelical, ran as like compassionate conservatism. I'm going to do all that stuff. Even he couldn't do that. But Trump's like, oh, no, I'm going to do it. Now, how they made this decision, again, disturbing, right? Now, this was at a White House meeting in November 27th. And this is according to people briefed on this meeting. Trump had repeated his earlier assertions that he had to follow through on a campaign promise he made. Now, again, this was a promise that other presidents had made during campaigns, but of course, once the adults sat down in the room with the other presidents and said, actually, this is the reason that we can't actually do that, because you're going to end up inflaming far more tensions and causing more problems for Israel, by the way, as well as the United States. We're going to have some serious problems if you make this campaign promise, if you follow through on this campaign promise. Trump, of course, does not care. Apparently, he was irritated by objections over security and break with previous policy. One senior official said, quote, "The decision wasn't driven by the peace process. The decision was driven by his campaign promise." So, now, again, this is one of the most disastrous, I think, Middle East peace policy decisions that I've seen so far out of the Trump administration. And it's funny that it's one of the few campaign promises that he's actually going to keep. He can keep it on healthcare, didn't repeal and replace Obamacare or anything like that. And not only that, but the healthcare plan that they pushed earlier wasn't good for anybody other than rich people and younger, very, very healthy people, people in their 20s that are incredibly healthy and actually have a lot of money. So it wasn't anything like the healthcare bill that he had promised during the campaign. But this is one of the few campaign promises that he is really itching to keep, right? And again, it's because he doesn't understand what it actually means. By doing this, he's making sure there will be more violence and more terrorism. And of course, he's also alienating some of our closest allies in that region. And Turkey had put out a statement, condemning this. We have the UK, we've got Germany. So all these countries are moving away from us and asking, what the hell are you guys doing? This is going to end up being terrible. And he doesn't even understand it, and he doesn't even care. All he wants to do is to continue serving his crazy right-wing evangelical base, even if it leads to disastrous long-term foreign policy consequences.